What's going on, everybody? How's it hanging? How's it happening? You guys know what it is. This is Kevin from the Chord Progression Podcast. Brought to you by Xerox Rock Metal Thrive. Happy Tuesday, everybody. It is July 6th, and yes, we're coming out of the 4th of July holiday. We're feeling super duper incredible because, hey, it's the second half of 2021 now. Live shows are back. A lot of restrictions are lifted from the COVID pandemic, and we're able to get back to seeing live shows and feeling that anthemic power that live shows have to really make us feel like a family once again. Feel incredibly inspired, happy. And if you want a band that's going to make you feel incredibly inspired, happy with some anthemic hard rock styles, this is the podcast for you. If you've heard about the band All Good Things, you definitely might have, especially if you're a gamer or if you're a big lifter, big guy in the gym, big girl in the gym, whatever it might be, to just enjoy some anthemic hard rock. All Good Things is the way for you. I've got Liz from the band on the podcast today. Her and I get to talk all about their song For the Glory, not just the original, but the re-release featuring members from one of my favorite bands, Johnny Three Tears and Charlie Scene from Hollywood Undead. We talk all about that. We talk all about concerts coming back and just the feeling, the vibe that creates as well. So this is a fun one if you want that anthemic drive. Are you guys ready? Because I am. Enough with me. Let's go! Yeah! Well, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, listeners of the Chord Progression Podcast. This podcast is about all good things. And the reason I say it is because, hey, that's the band's name. We got to talk about that. If you play any sort of video games, from Mortal Kombat, you've seen them probably on PlayStation commercials. If you watch Super Bowl 52, which I know most of you did, you probably heard one of their songs in there at some point. So you probably have heard of them. You might not know who they are, but you are today. So please welcome from the band All Good Things, Liz. So Liz, welcome to the Chord Progression Podcast.
Thank you for having me. Great to be here.
Thanks for being on. How is everything in your neck of the woods in the world in today's day and age?
All is good. Sun is shining, and shows are coming back. You know, everything's kind of getting back to normal, so pretty good. Yeah.
It's everything is getting back to normal. From where we were at this point last year when we had no idea what the hell was going on, and now it seems like everything is really starting to get back to normal. The driving factor behind that is the hope, and just the fact that we haven't had this sort of hope since last year is just, it's going to make these live shows absolutely incredible when you get back out to play live, when we get to see all the bands that we love play live as well. And like we said beforehand, it'll be interesting to see what happens when people start jumping in those mosh pits and see if they remember how to do it.
Yeah, totally crazy. I mean, I know even for us, like, we had a couple of tickets that we've been holding on to for shows that have been cancelled, and then so we'll be buying as many tickets as we can, seeing as much stuff, but also, we've finally got a bunch of tours kind of coming down the pipeline, a couple of festivals, and yeah, it's like, every day you wake up and go, please God, let it happen. But it's looking good, so yeah.
Oh, I know exactly what you mean, because once the pandemic hit, I had so many tickets for so many different shows that I've just been holding on to. About half of them ended up actually getting rescheduled, so I'm like, I held on to those, wasn't going to get rid of those. But then the other half, because I still had the ticket stubs for them, it's like, okay, these got canceled, so I'm just like, what am I going to use with these ticket stubs? I don't want to actually get rid of them because it's kind of a weird nostalgia trip of what we went through. So I've started using them as bookmarks.
Oh, that's a good idea. Yeah, totally.
So right now,
the concerts that never were. Oh yeah.
Yeah, so right now there's a book I'm reading. It's like, okay, what ticket stub is in there? And it was a ticket stub for a headlining tour with Hollywood Undead that I'm just like, man, I wanted to go to that so bad, but
oh yeah.
Next time.
Next time. Yeah. Well, at least now everyone's gagging to get back on. So, even if that tour got cancelled, they're surely, I know they're going out. Yeah.
Oh,
everyone's
I know that.
Going out.
Yeah, I was going to say they have to be, and I want to see them back here because I haven't seen them since 2017. They're one of my favorite bands, so
oh, sweet.
I just want to jump back in that pit, go absolutely crazy, and then just get to that point where all of a sudden it's like, this is the happiest I've ever been in a while. This is nice. This is really nice.
Totally. Yeah, I think we're all feeling that.
Oh, we absolutely are. And as we start out this podcast, I always ask my guests 3 separate questions to start out. The first 2 are very simple, very easy, and if you stumble on them, I'm going to actually kind of wonder what the heck went wrong. But the third one kind of puts you on the spot a little bit, and it's always my most favorite question to ask because it is rather fun to say. So the first one is, what is your name? The second one is, when it comes to all good things, what do you do in the band? And the third one is, I want to know a little fun fact, fun, wacky, interesting story about yourself or with your time in the band, whatever it might be, that will hopefully make me laugh so hard I fall out of my chair. It has happened before with band members. One of my classic ones I always bring up as an example is, I've heard stories of band members chloroforming other band members for the fun of it, dragging them to a beach, burying them halfway in the sand, and then squirting a bunch of ketchup around their legs that are already buried, because then it seems like their legs got bitten off by a shark.
Oh, dude, that's brutal.
Oh,
I can top that.
I've got plenty more. I've heard a bunch of other random ones too, including a different number of bassists like lighting their balls on fire because that's like their party trick or something like that. I've heard many stories about random just happenings on the road that have made me fall out of my chair laughing. So Liz, I'll let you take it away and we'll see what you got.
Oh, dude, you have put me on the spot. Let me think. Okay, well, I'm Liz. Play bass and all good things, and write songs with Dan and Andrew. And dude, I don't know. I haven't really got any exciting stories about. I mean, we haven't really toured yet as a band. You know, we started out as a studio band, and it's taken us a while to get out of the studio, and we had tours planned before the pandemic hit, and then the shit hit the fan, and all our tours got cancelled. And so obviously we've all toured individually, in different bands and everything for years, but so I'm afraid I don't have any like random exciting like ball flaming member burying. I don't know. Sorry, what a bummer, man. You put me on the spot.
Don't worry, I do this to everybody, so it's always interesting to see what the responses are. And like I always bring up those examples to kind of potentially get some of the creative juices flowing. But I do understand where you're coming from as well, due to the fact that for the majority of your time in the band so far, it's been mostly a studio thing. And with the pandemic hitting, you guys are ready to go out on tour, and all of a sudden, of course, everyone gets stuck inside, and we're all wondering when the heck are we able to get back out on tour. But now again, everything opening back up, tours getting kicked off once again, restrictions being lifted on anything from masks to social distancing to crowd capacity. It seems like, once, the second half of 2021 hits, which we're pretty much in at this point, everything's going to be open up fully, and people are going to be able to flock to live shows and see you perform really for the first time after hearing many different songs from you guys on different TV shows, on different video games. Because even taking a listen to some of the songs that you have out right now, I'm just thinking, man, like the epic anthemicness behind a lot of these tracks is perfect for those scenarios, whether it's a TV show, whether it's more of a sporting event, video game. It just adds to the lore of that event or of that game or whatever it might be.
Yeah, totally. And I think, that's what most people say, that they use our music to like listen to when they're playing like gaming or, doing any kind of sport thing or whatever. And that's where the music was born. And I think that's what people are into. And it's going to be different for us going out live. But I think maybe like ask me in a year about a crazy story, because, we've had a year to sit around and think about, what kind of a show we're going to put on and everything. And it started out really reasonable, we'll get some cool lighting, we'll get some stroke. And then as time goes on and, it's becoming like tours of going further and further away. And now they're going to be in 2021. And now it's like, like the other day we found a Gravitron on eBay, like Gravitrons are.
Yeah.
And we're like, oh, fuck, how cool would that be? Let's buy a Gravitron and tow it behind our bus. And then we had all these crazy ideas about how we're going to put fans on the Gravitron, and we're like, we could play in the middle of the Gravitron, and fans could be on the inside, and we could stand up. We spent far too much time thinking about how rad it would be to buy a Gravitron.
I actually did see that Gravitron being sold on eBay, because it was like maybe $28,000.
Exactly. Oh, you found it.
I did find it because I had a couple of friends message me like, hey man, there's like, if we can get like 28 people to throw down $1,000 each, we could potentially own ourselves a Gravitron. And I've got a buddy who's
Imagine putting that in your backyard. That would be so awesome.
Well, I've got a friend who's got a backyard who would be like, the thing is absolutely massive. It'd be perfect for it. So I'm like, we're thinking like, okay, if we buy it, who's going to be the one that actually gets to house it? My buddy who had the large backyard, he said, I will actually put down an extra $1,000 to reserve it, as even though it's all of ours, I'll throw an extra $1,000, a little bit more ownership in it so that we can keep it in my backyard because, well, I have the space. No one complained about that, but we couldn't get like 27 people to throw $1,000. And I totally understand why, because it's kind of wacky, but how cool would it be to own a Gravitron? But it just gets the creative juices flowing as well. It would be awesome all of a sudden have that thing just spinning consistently, and all of a sudden you guys are playing in the middle of that thing, because you're playing in the middle of it, and as the thing is spinning, you're seeing all these people spin around and are up on top. But I mean, anyone who's ever been on one of those rides, you know that when that thing gets going, it feels like, you know, your vision perception, everything flips up, so it looks like you're staring up at everything.
Yeah, totally.
And it's
I mean, you can imagine though. I reckon it would be fun for about half an hour, and then, you know, you mix that with beer and whatever, and it's just like, it's going to get ugly really quick.
Well, I would say don't do it for every song. Do it for like a one song thing. It's like all of a sudden, it's like, okay, you get people. It's like maybe like, you know, like the encore kind of thing, where all of a sudden it's you guys quickly end the set. You guys go out, and all of a sudden you guys are repairing inside the Gravitron, and then you have cameras in there so that, like, there, whatever venue you're at, like there's different screens out there that are showing you guys playing inside there, so everyone outside can still see. But then there's also cameras in there so that they can see the people in the Gravitron, and then there's a certain number of people that get to go in the Gravitron. And then while you guys are setting up for that, as like the encore, it's still kind of working in your favor, because then you're able to get fans to kind of get in there, get all set up for that thing to start spinning, and you guys start playing.
Like VIP golden tickets to go in the Gravitron. Yeah.
There we go.
We're onto something. Yeah, for sure.
See, there's the wacky story right there, because now we're thinking, again, the creative juices are flowing.
That's so funny that you guys actually saw the same Gravitron. You're looking fun. We would have been bidding against each other.
oh yeah, we would have been bidding. Honestly, you probably would have put in, like, if you would have put an extra like $200 on there, we probably would have been like, no, we're out, like we're done. We're not going over the asking price.
Yeah, totally. Well, we had to work out how to tow it behind a tour bus, and that was a bit challenging. So I don't think anyone in LA has a backyard big enough to fit the Gravitron. So I think you guys may have won.
Yeah, I mean, because my buddy lives out just about maybe 15 miles outside of Milwaukee, and it's just like, okay, it gets a lot more open out there. So
oh, totally. Yeah, no one has a backyard in LA, so you know, it's like you could put it on the roof, maybe. That's about it.
Yeah, I'll put it this way: he's getting married in October. We're having his wedding at his house. So we're having it in this giant backyard. I'm just like, oh, this is nice, because then, hey, what happens if someone has a little bit too much to drink and feels like passing out? Well, there's a house. It's not like you're going to be at like some banquet hall where all of a sudden at the end of the night they're going to be like, you don't have to go home, but you can't stay here. It's like oh yeah, you're fine. You're fine. You can just pass out here.
Outstanding. It's going to be the best wedding ever. You guys are going to have a blast.
Ooh, I don't know about that, because I've got another one like the week after that as well, and it's been one where is my buddy and his fiance. They've been together since we were freshmen in high school. So they'll have been together almost 12 years before they got married.
Wow.
So that one's just like, everyone's waiting for that one. It might be a little more like straight and narrowish than this other one that's at my buddy's house, but it's just like the anticipation for that one. It's going to be interesting to weigh it out and just see which one ends up being the more over the top crazy one. Also, because for my buddy's wedding that he's having it outside. Have you ever seen those like TikTok videos with the flower men, where they take the flower girls, they replace them with like some guy in the bridal party?
Oh yeah. Yep.
Yeah, so me and two of my best friends, we were asked to be the flower men at this wedding, and we asked what kind of like restrictions we have on what we can do, like what don't you want us to do? My buddy's fiance told us, you guys can do whatever you want. So all of a sudden the creative juices were flowing. I'm like, okay, I'm going to need a lot more flower petals than you are probably thinking I'm going to need, because I'm going to buy me one of those Air Zukas, just fill up with flower petals and just
launch them. And like the ones that they launch the T-shirts into the crowd, those ones? Like at sporting games, you know, you
kind of have an idea of what it is, but basically what it is, it's like this big giant plastic tube, and it has this like softer plastic sheet behind it. So you pull it and it'll like have more of this air behind it, and you let it go.
Oh yeah,
and it's
no,
like
that's
bungee
exactly
cord.
what it is. They
And
use it in like at the Lakers games and LA Kings games. Yeah, they have all the guys down the front like launching t-shirts and stuff, like rolled up t-shirts out to the nosebleed seats.
Yeah, unfortunately, actually, oh my god, because we were gonna do something that didn't have that kind of like power behind it because I didn't know if I could get it.
Just in case you take someone's head off.
No. Yeah. But the fact of the matter is my buddy who's doing it with us, he worked as the part of the entertainment team for the Milwaukee Bucks for 4 years, so we might be able to actually get one.
Oh, totally. They would totally have them for sure.
I'm actually gonna text my buddy after we're done with this podcast and be like, "Hey, can we get one of those?" Because he didn't work for him this season. But if there's anyone that is like a former employee that could make it work within that organization, it is him.
Yeah, I bet you they're just sitting in a cupboard somewhere waiting for a wedding to go to, waiting to be tried out with pedals. Like, how many pedals? You're going to need a lot of pedals, dude.
I'm going to end up the thing is I might need, maybe 15, 20 times that they think that we're going to need. So it's going to be like, okay, I'm going to be shooting these things into the crowd. And then they're going to have something where all of a sudden, okay, my buddy's fiance is going to start walking down the aisle. And then, of course, I'm going to ask my buddy if we can get 2 of them because he's going to want one, I'm going to want one. And while she's walking down the aisle, we're going to have them set and ready to go. So all of a sudden she's walking down, boom, we're going to fire. And then pedals are going to rain down. And she's like, how epic is that? Like, if you want a wedding entrance,
you need a third person to video that because it's going to be awesome.
There actually is a third flower man as well, so he would be the one to do that.
Yep.
But also kind of thinking about it now, especially from her standpoint, if you want the most epic white entrance to make all your friends envious, wouldn't that be it? Where you're walking in and there are literally flower petals raining down upon you.
I don't think you can top that. That's pretty spectacular.
Honestly, and then I might have to take a little bit of a technical aspect of it, if they're having like a little because it's an outdoor thing, it might not have bands, but probably going to be a DJ. It's like, okay, you're going to have the nice walk down wedding music happening. I might have to tap into that and start playing For the Glory by, of course, All Good Things, because that would just make it more anthemic, more epic as well.
Totally,
and just take it to a whole different level.
Oh yeah. It sounds awesome.
I had to throw your song in there as well because of course, preparing for this podcast, you guys had your song For the Glory, of course, came out earlier, but you recently came out with a version 2.0 of it featuring Johnny Three Tears and Charlie Sheen from Hollywood Undead. Of course, Hollywood Undead being one of my favorite bands. I saw that, I was like, ooh, this is going to be interesting because I'm always listening to Hollywood Undead. Like, I'm in the gym, I'm usually listening to them at least 1 or 2 days a week because it's just, come on, it's great music to listen to. So I'm like, okay, let's see if we can throw this in there as well and have some fun with it.
Totally, yeah. I mean, they're such a awesome hype band, perfect for working out at the gym or whatever. But that was one of the reasons why we picked them when we were thinking about doing a collaboration. We're working out how we're going to re-release. We signed a record deal with Better Noise about 1.5 years ago, and we wanted to re-release For the Glory because it did really well, just on an organic kind of grassroots way. And a lot of the gaming community were really supporting it. A lot of cosplay community, weightlifting. A lot of the military community were really supporting it. But we kind of figured that, we'd like to try and see if we can, get it next level and everything. And we're like, how are we going to do that? And we thought a collaboration would be really fun to get somebody else to bring some life to it and bring their own kind of flavor to it and everything. And so we tossed around for ages who we were going to ask to do it. And then someone came up with the idea for Hollywood Undead. And we're like, oh my God, yes, that's awesome. Because, they have that whole party hype vibe. And, the song's kind of got a tongue-in-cheek kind of swagger about it that Hollywood Undead are just totally known for. That's their whole thing. So, and weirdly, we have a bit of a crossover with our fan base. There are quite a few people who are our fans who are also Hollywood Undead fans. So, yeah, we were lucky enough. We reached out to them and they listened to the track and they're like, sure, we can put something down in the bridge and, we'll write something new for the bridge. And I think they had it for like a weekend, and they sent us some tracks back. Obviously, we couldn't see them, and they're in a different state at the time, so we couldn't see them because we were right in the middle of the pandemic. So, we just sent them all the tracks, and they laid something down in a weekend and sent it over to us, and we were like, "Yep, that's awesome! Like, we don't need to change anything. That's just totally awesome." So, yeah, we just stuck it in there, and and it was just so awesome. They just brought a whole new thing to it, like an urgency. It's fantastic. So we were so hyped and so honored to work with them because we're fans too and have been for a while, and so it was super awesome.
I have to agree with you as well, because especially with the original one, you're saying it really connected with the gaming community. Of course, I think it's a lot of that anthemic drive that's behind the song, because if you're listening to it while you're gaming, I mean, it just adds this epic feeling to it. Like whatever you're gaming on, it has this more of a grander scale to it. So hell, if you're playing something like Call of Duty, or if it was like me and my buddy, if we were listening, we'd be playing Super Smash Bros. While playing this song, and all of a sudden it's like, nice. Okay, it adds to that epicness. It adds to the impact of whatever you're doing, whatever match you're playing. If you're playing Warzone again, if you're doing Super Smash Bros, it's like you want to beat your friends, you want to beat your competition. It just adds more of an intrigue to it. And then, of course, the game community taking over, like you said, the cosplay community kind of got behind it as well. I think there's an overflow from gaming and cosplay, so it kind of fits in. Plus, then you also go, like, with the anthemic drive behind it, military, more the weightlifter side of it, it does make a lot of sense why that would get a lot more play in those realms. So it does have a large crossover effect. But then bringing on the guys from Hollywood Undead, especially with the fact that why I think it really worked out was because when I listen to Hollywood Undead, my favorite thing is when they have those songs that bring out more that, like, cocky energy behind it, and it just adds more to that anthemic feel to it, and especially in a lot of more of the earlier stuff. Pretty much anything they did off of Swan Songs, a lot of stuff off of like American Tragedy and Day of the Dead, a couple of things off of 5, and a couple of songs like Heart of the Champion off of the New Empire volumes. So it's like, I totally understand where you were going with that and why it would work. Plus, going with more of like a rap rock group for that as well for a feature. There are a couple others you guys could have gone with as well, but I still think Hollywood Undead might have been the best one to go with, because I know a lot of those rap rock groups. They're good, but with Hollywood Undead, again, that cockiness that just adds that anthemic style is gonna be there, especially when you had Johnny Three Tears in that first half of the bridge and then Charlie in the second half. It just really added to it, especially how they were layered.
Yeah, totally. I mean, that was all their idea, how they dropped it, which parts they did, and it was so awesome. And yeah, they have that cocky swagger, and they also, their lyrics are kind of funny. They have humor in them, which is awesome, because I don't know, all the bands that we like have that too. So yeah, it just totally made sense, and made sense, them coming in on a song that was already pretty much written, and like coming up with something that like made sense and was relevant, but it kind of took the song to a new level. And yeah, they really knocked it out of the park. So we were super stoked.
I'm not going to lie on this, though, because I listened to both of them, and when I was doing a deep dive look into this song, of course, that was going to be the biggest thing I looked at in comparison, because, of course, everything else pretty much same, but when you get to the bridge, that's where the difference is going to really come in to see how these songs play out. And it was odd, because listening to both the bridge for the original one and the one with Hollywood Undead featured on it, I thought that, honestly, they were both as impactful and as powerful no matter which one you listen to. It was just the different feel that you get off of the Hollywood Undead one versus the original one. But when it comes to that overall quality and that impact, they pretty much hit perfectly on the same aspect.
Oh, awesome. Oh, thanks for saying. Yeah, it was funny, that song. The original song, we wrote it, so it was one of those songs that came really quick. It was, we came into the studio thinking, we're going to write a swagger anthem. It's going to be like a victory with your bros kind of song, and it's going to be, and we're thinking, let's bring it right down to something simple and, something chanty, like, when you go to a soccer game, and like, especially like English Premier League or whatever, and there's just masses of people all screaming and singing together, and how that makes you feel. And so Andrew, the guitarist, actually came up with the For the Glory kind of chant in the chorus, and we're like, oh my God, that's so epic. So we try to keep it really simple, like it was a song that you could sing at a football game or a soccer game or whatever. And Dan, our singer, is a massive hockey fan. And so I was like, the bridge needs like some sort of rap, and it needs to be something, that will connect with people on a hype level, for sport or whatever. So I'm like, tap into something that makes you hyped. And he's like, I totally got this. So he went out, and like maybe 10, 15 minutes later, he came back in with the full rap, just totally written. And it only took a couple of takes. He was so hyped to do it. He was totally in his lane. And so it was really funny. We were kind of, laughing about it. And yeah, I mean, that was how the song kind of was born. But then it started, after we released it and everything, and people were listening to it. And obviously we knew that people would be using it for trailers and stuff. And obviously, we wrote it with gaming in mind and stuff like that. We often have a TV in our studio, and we put like superhero movies on, or anime movies or whatever, and to try and get like into that headspace or whatever.
Nice.
So that made sense. But then we started getting like messages from people, kind of these really deep messages from people saying talking about this like really difficult experiences that they'd been through, or some kind of long-term goal that they'd struggled towards or whatever, and how they'd use the song to kind of hype themselves up, or like to get through trauma or whatever. And then it started kind of getting this like a deeper kind of meaning, like not just the like cocky swaggery kind of song, but people were, reaching out to us and telling us that they were using it to like get through stuff. And that was a little intense at the start, because we're like, wow, we that's not what we intended when we wrote it. But then we were like, that's so awesome that people, are finding in music, as we all do, we all find songs that like speak to us and get us through like hard stuff, or that we can take out our frustrations in or whatever. So then it kind of became a personal anthem for people, like we always say, the underdog anthem, like all the nerds and underdogs, and rising to victory. And yeah, so it totally took on a different life. So we're just so thrilled that that we already had this awesome song, and then Hollywood Undead jumped on it, and just so now we've got these two versions that we're the same, we love them equally.
Oh, absolutely. And what you were speaking about too, where again, it had more of that gaming anthemic part to it, especially more of the meaning behind it as well. But when you boil it down to the core meaning behind it, I mean, pretty much the song, again, for the glory, it's kind of that driving forward to succeed over something that's, an obstacle that's in your way. So the anthemic drive is something that really adds to it. But the meaning is going to end up taking on a much more dynamic and much more complex thing when it is per person. Of course, when you talk about it with people and to see how they connect with the song, the core is going to be the same. But when you get to the specifics, it's all going to depend upon what the person has experienced in life and what they're going through at that moment. And that's where some of those deeper meanings, those deeper connections come in, because if people are dealing with certain things like depression, suicidal tendencies, anxiety, whatever it might be, and they're trying to overcome something like that, and they just need something to kind of help them push forward, music can easily be that thing. I'm a perfect example of that, because that happened to me in 2017, where all of a sudden it's like, okay, depression, suicide tendencies hit. And if it was any way to try and pull myself out of it, what was one of the things that helped me pull myself out of it? And it was music, because it was kind of a consistent driving force. If it wasn't for that, I wouldn't be here talking to you right now, Liz, because A, I might not even be here. And two, because of the music, this is where I kind of wanted to go into it. Like, okay, I want to focus in on this. This is what I really love to do. This is what I love to talk about. So let's go for it. And now I'm here. So woo. But where it really comes down to it is, yeah, it's going to end up evolving into something even grander than you possibly thought it could have. But that's what happens with great songs. It's they just end up taking on a life of their own once they're released. And then they become this grander thing. They become this thing that not only connects people with you as a band, but helps them connect even deeper within themselves as well.
Absolutely. And, one of the things we always talk about, you'll always hear us talk about it, is the way that our band started. We're a studio band. We were writing for like TV shows, games, whatever. And the music was connecting with people, and they reached out to us. Like people reached out to us and said, what is this band? What is this music? What's the name of the band? When are you playing? When are you releasing an album? And we were like, we had no intention of doing that. We were out playing in other bands and touring and being session musicians and writers and artists and whatever. But people just kept reaching out to us with this music. And I think the kind of motivational element that came inherently from the music. It wasn't that we were like, right, we're going to write motivational music. It was just that, the imagery that we had in our heads, superhero movies and like sporting events and gaming and everything, is like inherently motivational. And so we were just accidentally writing these motivational songs, and people were like really connecting with them. We started to think, maybe now at this time people need that sort of music. They need to find some sort of like therapy that that they can just plug into every morning when they're going for a run, or when they're driving to work, or even if they're getting through a tough day at work, or getting home, or just getting through anything. Everybody uses music therapy to a certain degree, but these songs were connecting with people that they kept telling us to make more music and make more music. So, and for us, writing it and playing it is so much fun, and it just feels so good because that's where it comes from. It makes us happy, and so it just made sense. All the roads just kept pointing to you need to get serious about this, and you need to make it into a real thing and a real band. And we always laugh because a lot of the members of the band were working really hard on other projects, and we weren't really looking at this as a band and to be touring or whatever. And then we were looking at our numbers and everything, and we opened Dan and I opened Spotify one day long before we released the first album, and some of the songs that we'd released, we had over 100,000 monthly listeners, and we were like, holy shit, like, how did that happen? Who are these people listening to our music, and why are they listening to it? And it's the same thing. It's just that it's therapy. It's therapy music for people. People make it their own. It's an anthem to their own story, and and so I mean, yeah, we're so honored. We're so honored that people bring it into their lives and make it their own and put their own stories to it. We have tons of fans who like make their own art using the music to inspire them. They write like sci-fi novels, or make videos, or write or make paintings or drawings, or like graphic art or whatever. It's so crazy, and then the music takes on a life of its own. It's not even ours anymore. It's that's what we say about the band name All Good Things. It's like it's everybody's. Once it's out there, it's everybody's. It's not our music anymore. It's everybody's, and everybody has their own story to it. Everybody has their own thing that they do with it, and that is just so cool.
But then again, such is life as well, to the point where things you can come up with, like you have a plan for these things, but in life, nothing ever goes according to plan. I mean, we definitely saw that in 2020, where all of a sudden we had all these plans to go out and do all these different things in 2020. We're going to do this, we're going to go do that. And then all of a sudden, boom, this pandemic hits, and it completely upends us entirely. And we have a choice we have to make at those times, where it's either, okay, can we sit and wallow in just what should have been? Or can we take a look at what is now and see what ends up happening? And that kind of sounds like what you do with All Good Things as well, because if you guys hadn't planned this really becoming a big thing, but all of a sudden it just took on a life of its own, and you're seeing what's happening and you're enjoying doing it, and this is what you want to do, then go for it. Make it a bigger thing. Really focus in on it, because then you're kind of not going along with what the original plan was, but you're letting life happen. And if you kind of focus in potentially on what that original plan was, just kept driving forward with it, and then not gone after everything that you're doing with All Good Things, you never know where you might be in life. You might always be look back, later on in life and think, oh, I wish I would have done that. No, now you're taking the chance. Now you're going for it, kind of going for the glory. Boom, had to drop that one in there because I thought it would be good.
Nice segue. Good job.
Oh, nice segue. And even like one thing you brought up earlier in the podcast as well that I do want to bring up as well, because when you're talking about the chant style behind it, it kind of had that feeling of like, like a European football match, like go over to England, like an EPL game. And I was thinking, I'm like, that actually sounds rather accurate, because the only time I've ever been to an international game, I was in the Netherlands in 2019 for 40 hours. I think I was in Amsterdam for 40 hours, and Ajax was playing some Greek team in a Champions League qualifier, and I went, and it was for a sporting event in the US. I gotta tell you, nothing can compare to just any football soccer match over in Europe. It is the crowd is so much more intense. It is insanity, because people were chanting and cheering like crazy. And even like the two little sections that they had penned off for the opposing fans, when they were chanting going crazy, they were going nuts. They only had 2 small sections. They were shaking the upper deck. And then all of a sudden, all the Ajax fans got going, and the whole entire stadium felt like it was going to fall apart.
Yeah, it's a whole different, I mean, it's a religion over there, and, a long history and tradition and everything. But that sound, when you hear that sound, it's, I've not been in a stadium. A couple of the guys have been, like Man United Stadium and everything. But I know, like, we have our own little football team here, like soccer team here, LAFC, and they've only been going for a couple of years, but right from the get-go, they decided that they wanted to have a section like an English Premier League section that was just chanting and cheering. And so they have this section called the 3252. And it's like one wall of the stadium, 3,252 people. And they sing and chant and jump up and down and hit drums from the start of the match to the end of the match. And it's unbelievable. It's like that feeling you get when you hear them. It's just joy. It's so awesome. And I mean, that we often go to games like LAFC games, and some of our actually Kingdom, which was the single we released before off the new album before we re-released For the Glory, and that was like that was inspired by like the 3252 from LAFC, because just again that feeling you get when you hear 3,000 people all singing at once. It's just like, gets you in the feels. It's so awesome.
Oh, absolutely. I think if there's anything that for a lot of other people that could easily more relate to something like that is think about a college football game. If you've attended college, go to a college football game, being in the student section, that's probably the closest thing I think in America that you can potentially get to something like that.
Oh, totally.
Because I went to school up in Minnesota. I went for 3.5 years I was there, but I was there for 4 fall semesters. So of course had season tickets for 4 full fall seasons. And then the biggest game they've played the past like 20 years, which was in 2019, Minnesota played against Penn State at home. I'm like, okay, my buddy, I told my buddy I was going to come to the game. His girlfriend was going to be in Jamaica at the time. So I got to buy her ticket for face value, which was like $20. I bought it 3 months early. By the time the game came out, if I wanted to, I could have sold that ticket for $250. But I'm like, no, I'm going to that game. And it was so much, it was fun. It was just like the place was going crazy. However, that was probably the biggest game they've had in the past 20, 25 years. It didn't even compare to a Champions League qualifier in August of 2019 over in Amsterdam with Ajax. It did not compare. It was ridiculous. So I can definitely see where like some of these songs, especially like when you wrote Kingdom as well, along with releasing For the Glory, like just having that feeling behind it and just really channeling in that energy of these intense soccer fans or football fans for everyone over in the UK and everywhere else around the world that's not the US. Just the religion that's behind it, just the impact that's behind it. I mean, when you hear those chants, especially in For the Glory, it just gives you that feel overall. Like you could easily be hearing like some team's supporters just singing along to this, and the whole entire place is going absolutely bonkers the whole entire time. It really has that vibe, and I think that's why a lot of people connect with it as well, due to the fact that it has this anthemic, this purse drive, but it also has this community feel behind it as well with those chants.
Yeah, I think the community thing is a big, because when you like break it down, that's the magic behind it all. It's like whether it be college football or whether it be like English Premier League soccer or whatever, it's that coming together to support a team, and like people in the community coming together, and it's more about the victory, like sharing a victory with other people, and with your friends, with your family, with your teammates, whatever. It's more about sharing that, overcoming something together and sharing, and that unity and everything. And I think that's where the real magic is, because when there's just one guy singing, it's not magical, but when there's 3,000 or 10,000 people all singing, it's the same as when you go to shows, and you hear, God, when you hear someone singing, like thousands of people singing your song back to you, it's just like, you're standing in a crowd of thousands of people and they're singing the same lyrics of a song that means so much to you, that speaks to you, and it just makes you feel so connected. And that's the magic of music. It's like, yeah.
I think it was Dave Grohl who actually said something. It was like he could be on stage singing a song and there could be 85,000 people in the crowd singing that exact same song back to him for 85,000 different reasons.
Different reasons. Yeah,
and
exactly.
that's what speaks volumes about, again, with that community feel, because, and kind of like with the meaning of the songs as well, where when it comes down to the bass, when it comes down to the core of the meaning, it's going to be the same for everybody. But when we get more into the specifics, that's where things get more complex. That's where more personal ideals, more personal experiences end up coming into play. And that's where the reasons start to differ. But then again, the base of the reason, that's what is connecting everybody. That's what gives that family vibe at live shows. That's what gives that family vibe, you know, when you're at a sporting event, no matter what it might be, and you're around a bunch of other fans of your favorite team. I mean, I'm fans of a bunch of Minnesota sports. I live in Wisconsin, so it feels weird to me because I'm usually the odd man out all the time, and I've perfected the art of that as well. So if I'm watching games with a bunch of other like fellow supporters, I'm like, how am I supposed to act around you guys? Like, is it okay to go nuts? And then it's like, okay, you know, give me a couple beers, and you know, I just don't care anymore.
Exactly.
But then again, it's just the anthemic part behind it, especially like imagine playing one of these songs in, like, say if you're opening up on a stadium tour for somebody, because you have this larger crowd, you have this larger space, you have the echoes booming off of the walls and all the sound that's coming at people. And then you get that anthemic drive behind it. It just connects people in such a deeper way, because again, it does feel like we are accomplishing something together, and we're also accomplishing something individually as well. It's like we're all overcoming something within ourselves individually, but we're all doing it at the same time.
Totally. And I feel like we all feel like that more than ever at the moment. You know, we're all coming out of this together. And, you know, when we all get back and we're in shows, it's going to be like, God, we all survived together. It's like, you know, being the last people standing at the end of a horror movie, you know, it's like we made it. So, yeah, I think it's going to be good vibes. Totally good vibes. Looking forward to it.
I'll say just hopefully for those last people surviving at the end of the horror movie, hopefully we, you know, it's not like some like random surprise thing at the end, like the original Friday the 13th where Jason comes out of water. No. We don't want that. We mean like we survived in that. And that we survived it and it's over. We don't want to have this COVID thing.
No sequels. No sequels.
No, we do not need a COVID 2, the COVIDine. It's coming out anytime soon. Let's leave this horror movie sequel way away from where we found it.
Yeah. I'm down.
Yeah, but because especially with 2021 second half tours coming up, do you have stuff in the works right now? Is there stuff that's you guys are going to be on? If it's announced it and you can announce it, I'd love to hear about it. If you can't, though, if it's still in the works, I totally understand. I don't want to get you in trouble for anything like that, but kind of want to know, because I want to be in one of these crowds and hear some of these super duper anthemic tracks and get in with that, you know, get back with my concert family and just enjoy these tracks and just finally feel like, you know, we're back together. We did this thing. All this COVID crap, it's done. 2020, it's done. We survived it. We won. Let's go.
Oh, totally. Well, I can tell you a couple. We're doing Aftershock Festival in Sacramento, which is in October, I think.
Okay.
Super excited about that. We're on the same bill as Metallica. Can't believe it. So excited about that. Lots of amazing bands on that. And I think, when is it? We're doing Rockville as well, in Daytona, which is in November, I think. Again, just sick lineup. I mean, we're hoping that we can get there earlier so we can just go the whole 3 days and just watch all the bands, because, you know, it's just like everyone's getting out and playing. So all of the festival lineups are just mind blowing at the moment. So yeah, we've got those 2 festivals coming up, and then we do have 2 tours which we're super excited about. We can't announce yet, but probably in the next week. And that's probably going to keep us busy from August till the end of the year. So we're going to be touring our guts out. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, of course, by the time this podcast comes out, if it's going to be a week after we record this, those tours will be announced. The dates will be out as well. So when it comes to find out about those, again, I'll have everything set for you guys for where you can find them. Don't worry about that. I always do that because, well, but if you're going to go, because I know Aftershock, I'm trying to think, because yeah, if you get a chance to say it and watch a couple of those shows, of course, you know, Metallica, if they're playing 2 nights, why wouldn't you want to stay and watch something like that? Isn't Mudvayne going to be on that as well, I think?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. Yeah. And I think the Misfits are playing on the Saturday night, which is insane. Yeah. And we've got like Black Veil Brides playing, Mastodon. It's crazy. Grandson, I love that band. Yeah, that guy.
So if you get a chance, I think at Aftershock, I think Rise Against is playing Aftershock as well. That's my favorite band of all time. And
they're playing the same day as us. So
their shows.
About that.
Yeah, their shows are nuts. But it's like there's not a lot of like crazy stuff going on stage, but it's just the energy that just like this pure punk rock energy that also is a lot larger in a grander scale because I've seen them multiple times. I can't wait to see them again this year. And then when it comes to Welcome to Rockville, I think they're playing on the first day. It's a band called Avoid. I'd say check them out as well. They're a band out of Seattle, and they're hilarious, but they also have this like super duper high energy style where kind of trying to think of a good way to like explain like their presence. It's kind of like a grungy looking Beartooth.
Oh, wow. Okay, cool. Yeah, I'm going to check it out.
And the energy they have behind them is absolutely ridiculous. It's something that like I want to go see them live, but yeah, that's at Welcome to Rockville. That's in Florida. I'm in Wisconsin, kind of far away. So
yeah, that's a bit of a drive. Yeah.
Just a little bit, but if you guys are going to be touring pretty much from August until the end of the year, hopefully end up coming somewhere around this upper Midwest area, Chicago.
We will definitely hitting you guys, getting our winter coats on and hitting you guys for sure.
It might not be that cold by then. I mean, you never know. If it's September, it's still nice out. If it's October, November, you will probably just need a sweatshirt. But December, it depends. Lately, Decembers have been pretty warm over here. And then January hits, and it's like, okay, here comes the cold, everybody. Woo!
Yeah, it's crazy. Well, I mean, as you can tell, I wasn't born here. I was born in Australia, and so yeah, we don't have that kind of cold in Australia, and we don't have it in California either. So yeah, whenever we go back east, it's like, oh my God, it's so cold. How do you guys live in this?
Well, I'll put it this way. We live in a place where the air hurts our face because then we don't have to worry about a lot of other things trying to kill us.
Yeah. And you all have rad basements. Like, you have these rad basement spaces. We don't have that here because, earthquakes and stuff. So, but yeah, all of my friends back east have these like totally pimped out basement spaces, like studios, podcasts, whatever. It's awesome. It's so cool. Yeah. Good thing jelly about that.
I was gonna say the good thing about basements, however, because where I'm living right now, the basement pretty much it's just like, okay, it's like there's parts of it that are finished and then you get the washer and dryer down there. I'm in the upper half of a duplex, so I'm not shooting in my basement. I'm shooting this out basically out of my living room right now.
Dude, I mean, yeah, that's where most of the magic happens these days, It's
when it comes to the podcast, this is where the magic's been happening for the past year and 2 months, honestly.
Yeah, perfect. Well, I mean, you haven't been able to leave your house, have you? So yeah, you got to do it from there.
Oh, I have. It's just, I'm like, hey, I could do it out of here, or I could rent an office space and do it out of. No, I'm just going to do it out of here. I'm the only one living here. So basically, I'm going to live in my office space in a way.
Yeah, I mean, totally. I mean, that's how we all roll. We all have like, studio spaces. Our studio space here is actually at our house. So, it's like, that way you can walk around in your underpants all the time. You can just do whatever you want. It's awesome.
Exactly.
Go to work in your underpants.
Exactly. Why would you want to work with pants on? Where's the fun in that?
Exactly. Yeah, I know. There's going to be lots of traumatized people having to put pants back on after a year and go back into the office. I feel for those guys.
Don't remind me. I'll say don't remind me because I might have to for my full-time job. However, most of my team is remote anyway, so I might just stay remote, and it's just going to make me so much happier. Save on a lot of gas money, too. That's the key.
Yeah, totally.
Well, Arliss, I know as we're getting close to time, because I know you have to go do another one of these as well. Before we close out the podcast, I always like to give you a chance to say anything you want to say, plug anything you want to plug, like a final word kind of thing. So, Liz, the floor is yours.
Oh, thank you so much. Well, yeah, if you haven't heard For the Glory featuring Johnny Three Tears and Charlie Scene, check it out. Follow us on social media at All Good Things Rock, and look out for us because we are definitely coming to a town near you in the next 5 months. So, and we can't wait to see you guys. We're so excited.
That's the perfect way to put it. Okay, now time for me to end with a classic 3 things. First thing is, you heard about the fact that All Good Things is going to be going on tour pretty much from August till the end of the year in 2021. You're going to want to know where they're going to be. You're going to want to follow them on social media. You're going to want to listen to For the Glory, either the original or the one featuring Johnny Features and Charlie C, because both of them hit exactly the way you want them to hit. It's just in completely different ways, especially when you get to the bridge. So you can listen to both of them. I know what you're thinking. Kevin, can you just put all the links in the description below for us so we can follow them on social media, where we can watch their music videos, we can stream their music, we can check out their website for all their tour dates, we can buy some merch, and you bet your ass I'm going to do that. So look at the description of the podcast, YouTube, Spotify, Podcast, iHeartRadio. It'll say find all good things online, and everything will be there labeled for you, all the links there. You'll be good to go. Second, now Liz, this is usually something I like to offer to everybody, or a promise I like to make to everybody that I'll enjoy having on the podcast. This pretty much happens every time I have a guest, and this is no different. So with you guys touring in 2021, the second half, hopefully coming around my neck of the woods, I'm going to make sure to check that out as well, as make sure when those lineups are announced, like, hey, I got to see where All Good Things is playing. If it's going to be near me or close to me, got to make it happen. But the promise is when I get to see you play live for the first time. First round's on me.
Oh, nice. All right. Sounds good.
And I always keep my promises. So on that note, Liz, I cannot in all good conscience end this podcast with goodbye because, well, I want to see you play live. I want to get back with that like anthemic epic drive feel. Plus, I got to make good on my promises for first rounds on me. So can't end this with a goodbye. That's way too final. We're going to end this with see you later.
See you later. Thanks for having me, Kevin.
Whoa, folks. That's my review with Liz from the band All Good Things. And yes, they're bringing all good things with new shows coming your way in 2021 from the sense like, from August on. And by the time this podcast comes out, most of those should be announced. So check them out on their socials. Check out their music, stream it, listen to it, download it. Check out the music videos, buy some merch from them. But check out those live shows as well. Again, links for everything when it comes to All Good Things in the description of the podcast below. YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcast, iHeartRadio. And if you're not subscribed to the podcast, please give us a subscribe on one of those platforms, YouTube, Spotify, Podcast, iHeartRadio. And please like our stuff, subscribe to it. Again, you'll find links or they'll say like follow us online. You'll find Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, Instagram. You'll find all the stuff for the Chord Progression Podcast. You'll find everything you need there. So be sure to follow us. If you are already subscribed to the podcast, this is the time where I want to say thank you. And on that note, that's good for me, guys. Thank you for listening to the Chord Progression Podcast by MSOD Rocks from Rock. That's good for me today, guys. Thank you for listening to the Chord Progression Podcast by MSOD Rocks from Rock and Metal Thrive. My name is Kevin, and you guys know how I end every single one with a big, healthy, and hearty. See ya! Yeah!